Hey, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Gray Hair Dave, inviting you to listen to episode number 20. That's a 2 and a 0. 20. That's me, 20. I remember being 20. Do you? Anyways, my name's Dave, and I have gray hair. That's why I call myself Gray Hair Dave. Started it a little while ago, and I kind of like it. Doesn't bother me, because it is what it is who I is. I is Dave, and I have gray hair. So yesterday I talked about um, politics and the fall of Richard Nixon, a little bit about the fall and how I learned about it. And then I talked about politics and poli sci, political science class. And we called it civics back then. And I actually think poli sci sounds better. It's kind of a better name. Um, and we also talked a little bit. I talked a little bit about mascots. Some that should change, some that they really shouldn't. One that I think they really ought to change is the Jacksonville Jaguars. that guy kind of weirds me out, but uh, and I'll be honest with you, the Michigan State Spartan guy, Sparty, he's got a big head. I don't know, he thinks he's all that because he's got this big gigantic head. Uh, and I don't know the Lions one, the Detroit Lions. Theirs is pretty cool. And I do like the new Lions, the way they're doing things at Ford Field. You know how the new paint that they're using on the end zones and everything. It's a little more brilliant and fluorescent, like I guess is what you would call it. But I think it's pretty cool, and as I am just happy as can be for the Lions to have gotten as far as they got this year in 2023-24 season, and happy that they're doing well. I really am. But hey, my Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see the show. But, anyways, on to the next thing. Here's what we're talking about today. Now, ChatGPT tells me that on episode 20, I should be talking about actually with a childhood friend. Reconnect with a childhood friend. Well, we're all busy right now, but we're not. And I just, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to do that. This is one of the ones that ChatGPT suggested that I like. Now, I have mentioned contacting my friend Matt, seeing if he'll come on the show. He used to be a disc jockey in Fort Huron, and he's a great guy. He's done a lot of things in his life, and I had a lot of great childhood friends. I really, really did. Dean and Brian and Scott and Dave and Chris. Those are just guys right in the immediate neighborhood, and even this little guy named Jimmy and Kevin. Those are two different guys, by the way. But I think we had fun when we grew up. I think I made good friends, and I think hopefully I was a good friend to them. But it's been a long time since I've seen any of them because they all live up north, at least as far as I know. Some come down here, but everybody has a different schedule nowadays. Everybody's busy, and I'm the only one, unfortunately, who didn't have kids. So, they've got family and everything else to deal with. It's not all about coming down here and seeing Dave. And I'm okay with that. I understand that. I've learned to live with that, and that's all that needs to be said about that. So on we go. So I'm not going to interview a friend today, but let's talk about what you and your friends did when. And let's skip elementary school because elementary school is just too far back. I just don't want to go. I remember playing baseball at what we called recess. I don't know what they call it now, even if they get one. I remember that going away in junior high school. Again, we called it junior high school, not middle school. I guess you could say they mean the same thing, but realistically, do they? I don't know. Junior high sounded so more cool. Hey, where you go? I go to junior high. Hey, I go to middle school. I'm sorry. That's just rude. But oh well, I'll go to middle school. Jeez. But high schoolers, man, I had a lot of fun in junior high school. We used to walk or ride our bike, and that's something too. I've noticed that in the town that I live in, right around there's a middle school just around the corner, but it's about a half a mile away. But it's right on my way to work and the grocery store and the bar and Wendy's and McDonald's and Taco Bell and the car and. So, anyways, I go by this school and it's a couple of years. It's a new school, and after the first year they had built it, that next summer they built a bike rack section with I because everybody, all the kids down, a lot of kids down here in this town would ride their bikes. Yeah, they still had bus services, but they rode their bicycles. So they must put in, oh God, a good 100 bicycle spots with a big chain link fence around it. And I thought, oh, that's cool. Then the motorized scooters came in. Little two-wheel motorized scooters. Now those things are slick, I have to admit. And one day I want to try one, but I don't know if I've got the balance anymore for that. But and I see these kids flying around here, one and two, and sometimes three people on one. But now, last summer, because of the enormous amount of those scooters that are being taken to school every day, they had to make on the other side of the sidewalk where they put the bicycle racks. They had to put a chain link fenced area in for the scooters. No, sorry, I said scooters. A little higher, but for the scooters. And it's the same size, I believe. But yeah, it's the exact same size as the bicycle racks, but there's still not enough room. They're still parking scooters in the grass and leaning them up against the chain link fence. And this is not the only area. They've got one in the front where I go by, and there's one in the back. They're both full. Now, granted, there's a lot of kids go to this school, but man, I tell you what, there's a lot of them scooters flying around here, and they're cool. They didn't have that when I was growing up. And you couldn't wait to get a car, and when you did, boy, you were all about that car, learning how to drive and getting that car. But we used to use our bicycles a lot. Now, when I went to high school, I didn't ride my bike to high school. Not many people did. We used to walk or get a ride. If it was raining, we'd get a ride usually, or if it was snowing really bad. But other than that, I'd walk. I mean, me and my friends would. It's I think it was about a 10 block. And, 10 blocks of an average size city, not the ones down here in Florida, because some of the blocks down here are a quarter mile long, maybe a third of a mile long. That's not how it is back up north. But we walked to school, and I walked to school when I was in elementary school too. It was 9 blocks because it was a block before the high school. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. I will cut that out. But it was a good walk, but boy, when you could drive, you were driving. But bicycles were fun. I remember getting on my bicycle, and if my friends were busy or not around or were doing other things, I was riding my bicycle. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I'd go exploring. I didn't go all that far away, but I'd go a ways away. And you know how every neighborhood has its group of kids. Well, a block and a half away is a different group of kids. And they try to, what are you doing riding through our neighborhood kind of thing. And you gotta maneuver and play politics with them. But I got along with everybody, and that's all that really mattered. I had good friends, good relationships. And I miss those guys and girls. Across the street was Scott and David had a sister named Karen. She was a sweetheart. She was a great little kid, and grew up to be a great mom and good looking girl. So it's those are the times you look back on and you go, oh, that was fun and it was nice. Those are fond memories, and I hope you have fond memories of growing up yourself. It ain't easy today. I feel for these kids nowadays, and if you're a baby boomer, I'm sure you do too. But if you're somebody real young listening to this, I feel for you. You got a lot going on in your life. The world is throwing a lot of things at you that they weren't throwing at us back then. There was no big internet thing. There was no 24-hour news cycles. There was no, social media. Social media, you know what social media was? You get out of the house, you go see people. You go to a party, you go to a festival, you go downtown and go to the fair or to the carnival or whatever was available or the school events. I remember going to football games when I was in high school. It was a fun, fun time. Those were social events. That was social media back then. Social media was the newspaper and the radio. Sometimes the television, because we lived far enough away from the television stations that we received their signal, but they didn't report much on Port Huron because it was out of Detroit. And, Detroit's much more important than us lowlifes out here in Port Huron. Well, Port Huron is basically a suburb now of Detroit, is what I understand. So anyways, that's my show for today, folks. Tomorrow, we'll talk about something else that comes into my head or whatever Chat GPT has to say. Don't forget, tell your friends. Gray Hair Dave's out there. He's got a 5-minute podcast that usually lasts 10 minutes, but it's fun, and I hope you're enjoying this. Don't forget, go to my website, the number 5, minuteswithgrayhairdave.com. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, click on the little microphone. Leave me a message. You got to put your email in, but I'm not out there selling emails, folks. I would never do that to you. I'll keep them for myself. Put them in my little list, and then I'll start sending. Who knows? Maybe I'll send you something. So anyways, folks, have a great weekend. Because this is number 20, I probably won't be here until number 21. Boo. Unless I decide to do a 20 and a half. Talk to you soon. More to come. Bye from Gray Hair Dave.